What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-hosts, Matt Llewellyn and Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. We got a doozy for you guys tonight. We'll be somewhat recapping the Seahawks. It's already Wednesday night, so I'm sure we've recapped that game as much as you would like to recap, but we'll kind of give our key takeaways. We'll discuss what's wrong with the 49ers and do a small preview of the Packers game since we're already, like I said, halfway through the week. Before I toss it over to my guys, if you're watching on X, make sure you like and repost the post. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Jump in the chat. We want to hear your thoughts on what's going on with the Niners. Whether you're watching on 49ers Hive or Nothing But Niners, make sure you hit that subscribe button because it helps more than you know. Now that I got that out of the way, Matt, how you doing?
Listen, Zach, I'm doing pretty good because I think enough of 49ers Twitter is caught on that I don't have to break the news to them that the 49ers are no longer to be considered a Super Bowl team, at least for this season. And as it stands with me, they're a borderline playoff team, but we'll get into that more in a little bit. So other than that, I'm doing really good, man.
Yeah, there's almost like a sense of relief once you come to that conclusion, at least for me. Mike, how you doing?
I'm kind of right there with Matt in a sense that there's, like I've accepted it a while ago. He actually may be a little more optimistic than me because at a 5-5 record, I don't know where we stand as if the playoffs were to start today, but I don't think the Niners are making the postseason based off of what we've seen through 10 games this season. But we'll break all that down. We'll talk about it all, and hopefully other people can find the peace that we have going forward and for the remainder of the season.
Yeah. It's tough because it seemed like they were finally getting some momentum going. We've seen, every year after the bye week, they go on a run. But this year just seems different. I don't really know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but it's like, they go 2 steps forward and 6 steps back. It's like no matter what they do, they get in their own way. They trip themselves up, a ton of penalties. It's just frustrating. But obviously, as you guys know, the 49ers lost to the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday, 20-17. It was a last-second touchdown run by Geno Smith. His first win versus the 49ers since he's taken over as the Seahawks starting quarterback in 6 games. So he's now 1-5 versus the 49ers. Going into this year, Brock Purdy was undefeated in the division. He now has 3 divisional losses. It's tough. It's very ugly. These are the type of games that we've seen the 49ers historically win, but this year they're not winning them, and they're giving them up while having a lead in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. I mean, a couple of these games, the other team never even led up until they took the lead with like under 30 seconds to go. So they got it down to a science losing. Last year, what were they? 12-5, 11-6. And that, they're already basically there 10 games into the season. They've already matched their loss total. Mike, I'll start with you. What was your main takeaway from Sunday, positively or negatively? I just don't think there's that much positively takeaway.
I am positive that the 49ers have been the most consistent team in the NFL this season. Special teams is continually bad. I don't care about 1 or 2 good plays. There's more bad than good. Our defense, when needed to hold up, can't do it. And our offense, when needed to score, also can't do it. We are consistently the most inconsistent team. That is the positive that I have here. I've also adapted the mindset that the 49ers just mentally aren't where we need to be this season. There is something different about the makeup of this team. I'm going to harp on that until I see otherwise. We have interviews out there, and I don't know if there's something you guys plan on discussing later on. There's interviews out there with Trent having conversations with LeBron James and all, and it changes the way I look at things. It changes the way I feel about things, right? It all of a sudden becomes a me and I and personal goals and longevity, and maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know, but I don't like the way it's making me feel, if I'm being 100% transparent with you guys. There's too much going on with this team right now for anyone to be able to say, I can sit back and comfortably say, I think this team is going to make a playoff push. And if anybody out there feels that way, I would love to know how, where, or what corrections you think you're going to see. Because every phase of the game, every single position group, maybe outside of corners, I've been disappointed in every game this season. Safeties, linebackers, defensive line, offensive line, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, quarterback, special teams. Everybody has been a disappointment consistently. It's always like, oh man, if that had have happened in our favor, if we got this play, if this one person made this one play, it's always this one person on each individual play. And it's to the point where we have to acknowledge it's a bad or not a good team. That's where I am. And I have no idea how anyone sees anything different.
Yeah, it is ugly. There are a few bright spots like positions, rookies, but overall, it was pretty ugly. This was the 49ers, I want to say, had like 200 yards total offense. Like, it didn't really make any sense. And you could chalk it up to George Kittle's out, but one player being out shouldn't impact it that much. I have to be convinced that Jordan Mason still isn't 100%, even though he's not on the injury report. So you would think he is, because he only had like 2 touches in the game on Sunday. And I feel like he averaged like 8 yards a carry. And McCaffrey's still struggling to get it going for whatever it is. He hasn't really reached that second gear. He hasn't really gotten in motion yet. And Jordan Mason was like 4th in the NFL when McCaffrey came back. And Kyle, was like, all right, thanks. He did get hurt. I'll give him that credit. But if he's healthy now, why are we not seeing a more even split in the backfield? And if he's not healthy, then what about Garendo? I understand there were plays that he's messed up in pass protection, but then maybe you play him during running plays, Kyle. I don't know. Matt, I know you're ready to hit us with some hard truths here. How you feeling?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, first of all, I've come to terms with the people that call for Kyle's job. Like, I understand that those people are going to be those people. And there's no talking to them about anything that has to do with, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. You don't know what you're going to get. If you change out Kyle, you're probably changing out John as well. And if you do that, then you're doing a hard reset of the franchise. And some people are just spoiled in the fact that they don't remember or have chosen not to remember the Jim Tom Sula and the Chip Kelly days. And prior to that, when, before Harbaugh was the coach, the Mike Nolan and the Mike Singletary days, going from a pretty decent coach in Steve Mariucci to absolute dog shit for like 10 years, and then getting a good coach in Jim Harbaugh to going back to absolute dog shit, and then going to pretty much like the best coach, not named Andy Reid, in the NFL for the last 5 years, and Kyle Shanahan, and just being willing to give that up is kind of weird to me. In terms of Christian McCaffrey, I saw people saying, just shut him down, put Mason back in there, this and this and that. To me, it's a simple thing, man. If you watch the tape, the offensive line is blowing assignments left and right. Run blocking, pass blocking, it's a dog shit O-line. And that's what happens when you have one good player on your offensive line who's a rookie, one all-time player who is now aged out. And I'm sorry, but Trent Williams is a shell of him for himself. He's declining. He looks old. He does not look like somebody that the 49ers are going to be able to carry going forward. I don't give a fuck if he's talking to LeBron James about longevity. That ship has sailed, dude. Like, you held out for more money because you knew that you were coming to the end. And that's fine. Get your bag, dude. Like, no harm, no foul, but the team needs to move off of him. Brendel and McKiv shit suck. We knew that from the beginning. And Aaron Banks is somebody that went from promising to a guy that, like, I don't even want to re-sign him. Let him go. Start it over. Get somebody else in there. I assume John Feliciano is going to play. But here's the thing. Christian McCaffrey is somebody that opposing defenses game plan for. No offense to Jordan Mason, but that was the least of people's worries. And he did most of his damage, by the way. Go back and look statistically. He did most of his damage when Brandon Ayuk was still out there, when Deebo Samuel was out there, when George Kittle was out there. No Kittle this game. Obviously, no Brandon Ayuk. And Deebo Samuel, I don't even have to say anything about Deebo Samuel except that I was right. Dude's washed. And he can get the fuck out of here, too, with his $25 million. They have an out after this season. They need to take it. Listen, the fact of the matter is, this team is going to be going through a little bit of a rebuild. They need to overhaul the offensive line. They need to get some of these bum-ass coaches out of here. Chris Kaczmarek, I'm looking at you. Because what happened when Nick Bosa went out? Why is one player the entire tenor of your defense? They didn't do shit. Like, to me, Nick Bosa makes the entire 49ers pass rush, and it doesn't matter whether they throw a second-round pick and Drake Jackson at it. Doesn't matter if they trade for injury-prone D Ford. Doesn't matter if they sign a guy who had 10 sacks last year in Leonard Floyd. Doesn't matter if Eric Armstead walks out the door so that you could pay Javon Hargrave $80 million. Nick Bosa is the only thing that seems to generate a pass rush because he wins so much that he forces guys to go the other way, and in turn, everybody eats off of the wins that Nick Bosa gets. Fred Warner playing like a shell of himself because he has to cover Devondre Campbell's ass all game long. Like, what is happening with this team? There needs to be some hard questions asked, and Kyle is not going to be the one to go. It's going to be the coordinators first. Get a new defensive line coach. They need new blood in there. Get a new offensive line coach. I'm sorry, Chris Forster, but like at the end of the day, it's a results-driven league, and the 49ers have one of the worst offensive lines in football. You know, get a new defensive coordinator. Like, I don't even care. Go through another one. Sorensen ain't it. Another game where on third down and longs, he's running man defense like every single time. It's just, like, it's predictable. It looks like shit. Nobody's scared of the 49ers defense. Nobody's scared of the 49ers offense. And it's time for a hard reset. I hope Kyle learns a very hard lesson this year, because if not, then next year, by all means, put his ass on the hot seat. But they just signed an extension. They're not going anywhere, just like the 49ers. Not going anywhere.
Matt ran. All right. Yeah, very well said, Matt. By the way,
if either of you disagree or want to talk on anything that I said, feel free, because like it was a lot there to process for sure.
Yeah. Mike, I'll let you go after. But the fact that we are where we are with so many pieces that have been in flux, it's really hard to get a read, because yes, there have been injuries, but at the same time, they should be good enough and experienced enough to be able to overcome those injuries, and they should be supplanting the aging roster with younger talent, which this year seems like they finally did for the first time. As far as Trent Williams, why LeBron? How many fucking snaps has LeBron taken? How many dropbacks in coverage has LeBron? Why not Joe Staley? Why not Joe Thomas? Why not like actual left tackle?
I get it from the health aspect of it. Like, hey, what should my diet be? Hey, who should my trainer be? But if you want an in football comparison, like, go talk to Tom Brady, man. Like, that dude eats avocado ice cream and whatever. Right. And by the way, Trent, if you're talking to this dude about getting in shape and spending money on your body, LeBron famously pays like $1 million or whatever for, a year on maintenance. Take Debo fat ass with you. Like, for real. And this coming from a fat dude.
So that's frustrating to me. But I just think the 49ers have had so many opportunities to right this ship, and they've missed. And that's where they are now. Because of that, they have an aging roster, too dependent on stars. When those stars don't show up, they put up 17 points at home versus Seattle, and they can't get anything going. They have sad offensive performances because they're too dependent on stars. Also, something that really has bothered me, and it's bothered me for a while, and I think we're seeing it this year more so, because everything's under a microscope when you lose, right? And it's that for some reason, and look, I'm obviously a fan of the 49ers. I don't fucking know what the other 31 teams do that closely, but Kyle Shanahan allows opposing teams to, one, dictate what he's going to play by the looks that they give him, and two, he has no answer because he's so predictable. Teams understand, well, if I just fucking overload this side, they have no coverage for it. Like, we understand how they're going to pass protect. And if we send, 3 extra guys to the left side, they have no answer for it. So they're just going to get to Brock Purdy within 2 seconds. And he either has to get that ball out accurately or it's a sack. And it's really frustrating.
Or it's a lineman holding the fuck out of somebody
or
because they can't do their job right.
Or Brock's getting his arm torn at the elbow. It's like, these are all horrible scenarios that have happened, and nothing has happened to fix it, to correct the issue. Kyle Shanahan was asked, why aren't we seeing more play action? Oh, well, the looks that we're getting from the defenses. I'm sorry. Why should that matter? If you want to fucking run play action, run it. And the real answer is because my offensive line can't hold up for 2 seconds to allow Brock Purdy to not get swallowed up by some 300-pound lineman. with his back towards the line, for that matter. It's very frustrating. And the fact that we're 7 years into this project and these are still questions that we're having to ask about his scheme, it's frustrating. Mike, I'll let you go because I took over a bit.
No, it's cool. The truth of the matter is, like I said, there's far too many issues to just point out one thing and see, like, oh, if we fix this, then we'll be back in good shape. And that might be, maybe not to give an excuse, that might be why we haven't seen any drastic changes or any major changes, because there's just so much wrong, right? Like, oh, if you step back and look at the game, and there's 20 plays that were the difference in the game. 5 of those plays are going to be on the offensive line. 5 of the plays are going to be on the defensive line. 3 of those plays are going to be special teams. Like, it's so much everywhere. It's like we can't just hyper focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, to try to go back to the long litany of things that Matt was saying, I used to be extremely disappointed with Deebo Samuel. And then I realized Deebo hasn't changed from who he's always been. I think our expectations for Deebo changed, right? He's never been a route runner. He's never been a blocker. He's never been, the fastest guy in the open field. However, he runs really good angles once he gets the ball in his hand and in space, right? So what's different?
I mean, he's like a 4.4 guy, at least at the combine he was.
But I think the difference is they're not getting him the ball in space. Now you have to ask why.
Yeah,
because
but all the stuff
we've lost the pieces around him that spread things out. The George Kittle being healthy and the Brandon Ayuk taking someone over there, allowing him to hit this little hole here, right? Kittle's here, and then Ayuk's way up here. This leaves this little window here for him, especially if McCaffrey's running out around this way or that way. Like the defense ends up spreading out, and that leaves Deebo open. Well, now all of a sudden you're losing all of those pieces one by one, and we're saying, man, Deebo, you don't look the same. You're trash now. And while I agree that, like, he doesn't look the same, I find myself questioning, is it necessarily his fault? What is he not doing that he used to be able to do really well? And if he's not doing it, how come? Is where I find myself.
Yeah, but I think in the fans' minds, and I mean in Kyle Shanahan's mind, because it's clear that Kyle Shanahan really likes him, I think that he's living off of the back of 2021.
Agreed.
Other than 2021, he doesn't have 1,000-yard receiving season. He actually only has one other season, which was last year, that he had even over 1,000 total scrimmage yards.
Right.
This dude's living off the reputation of 1 year, and he coined himself a position, and the fruits of that labor have not been there. Even last year, a lot of his damage came against a couple of teams, Philadelphia, the Cowboys, people that he treated. But then he would go games where he'd have 2 catches for 12 yards or whatever, 2 catches for 20 yards. And it's inconsistent. It's inconsistent. Even this season, he has 2 good games against when we were in Seattle and at the Vikings. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but those are damn it, I want to be super duper negative, but those are kind of the things that made the 49ers special, right? It's like, it's not that every game Deebo's going to go off. So if a team just takes him away, then we're stuck, right? It's like you're going to get out of 17 games, 3 games that Deebo is going crazy, 5 games where Kittle's going crazy, 5 games where Ayuk is going crazy, 6 games where McCaffrey's going crazy. Like, that's kind of what made
Pick
the
your
Niners.
poison.
Yeah, that's kind of what made the Niners special. And then as those guys start falling off or having to work their way back from injury or whatever, and Kyle has to figure out new ways to work them all in there, we're seeing a little bit of a step back. But I think what's really frustrating with all of it is that we think we can see the adjustments that Kyle should make, and he's not making them. And that's going to take me back to, like, the players are only going to do what they're coached to do for each single game. And that's why I think the problems start up top with Kyle. I don't care if it's on the defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball, or even the special teams. I think the players are going to do what they're coached to do for the next upcoming game.
Listen, what? Yes, I can't get over the Deebo thing because I think he gets too much of a pass. Look at the guys that got paid with him: Terry McLaurin, AJ Brown, those 2. Deebo is 2,000 yards receiving behind both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Deebo only has 20 career receiving touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Not good, by the way, guys.
No. That's almost it's like 3 a year. He's been in the league 7 seasons. 7.
Oh, Jesus.
He was drafted in 2019. Is 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. So it's a 6th season. So 6 seasons. But that's literally what? 20 touchdowns over 6 seasons? That's like 3 a year.
That's not good, yeah.
That's not good. Meanwhile, Terry McLaurin for a horrendous Washington team prior to this one has 31 career touchdowns. A.J. Brown has 45 career receiving touchdowns in the same amount of time. They're all in the same draft class. A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin have multiple 1,000-yard seasons with much worse teams. Remember, A.J. Brown was on the Titans for a long time with Ryan Tannehill throwing him the ball. And Deebo Samuel is supposed to be this gadget guy who makes just as much as these players, counts just as much against the salary cap as those players. If you're not getting the production, again, why does he get I don't give a fuck. Get him out of here. I don't care what he's supposed to be or if expectations are too high. For $25 million a year, you damn well better believe my expectations are going to be high. You need to perform and live up to that contract. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise, what are we doing? What are we talking about?
Not only that, by the way, and I hate to fucking relitigate history, but let's now remember what it took to get Deebo Samuel that contract. He wasn't a Juwan Jennings where he came in and said, I'm so thankful. Appreciate y'all. Let's rock. There was a whole offseason of fucking drama that went with that contract.
And he said with the contract negotiations, he came into camp out of shape. It's like, you not having a contract has nothing to do with you staying conditioned. Yeah. Like, why does a wide receiver like Deebo have a pot belly? Like, there's no reason for that shit. There really is not. And we saw all offseason how he was working out and working hard. And I was like, dang, he looks good. And then he gets into the season and it's just like, nah, fuck it, dude. It's McDonald's and donuts for me again. Like, just because you worked out in the offseason, like, keep that shit going. Like, again, not to compare play, but Nick Bosa goes about his... When have you ever seen Nick Bosa, like, eat anything bullshit? I've never even heard of Nick Bosa going out and drinking. Like, according to his mom, that dude turned down carbs for his birthday dinner. Like, that dude is locked in all the time.
Yeah. So with Deebo too, it's just, I saw a clip today where they asked him, why do you think defenses are treating you differently? What do you think it is? And he kind of thought, I don't know. I know what it is. You're slow as fuck. You're slow as fuck. You can't get the corner. You're always going to get caught. The wide back isn't there. Like, it's just so frustrating. And Kyle, for some reason, can't see it. And unfortunately for all of us who are fans of the team, when Kyle's back is against the wall, Deebo's the number he's calling late at night as the booty call. Like, Deebo is the guy he leans on when shit needs to get done. Because in his defense, there was a solid period of time where shit got done when he called on Deebo. But it hasn't been like that for like a solid year and a half. And he's still in that mindset. I mean, we saw how many handoffs to Deebo did he have Sunday versus the Seahawks? I don't know of any of them that actually got.
Bro, he got nothing.
Line of scrimmage. He's one of 3 players in the NFL that is averaging under 3 yards per carry. Yep. I think like Rico Dowdle and Trey Sermon are the other 2. Deebo Samuel, who coined his own position, and then like a month later wanted nothing to do with that, said he never liked it. So I don't know. I don't want this.
And by the way, only has 33. He only has 33 catches in 10 games.
Yeah. And while you're saying that, hold on. While you're saying that, Juwan Jennings is on pace for 1,000 yards. Juwan Jennings is on pace. Will he finish with that? I don't know. But he's over 500 10 games into the year. So maybe I guess not quite on pace. But he's gonna get there close. He's gonna get close. Clearly, nobody else can separate or get open or has the chemistry that him and Brock have.
And so he's the Niners' leading receiver. Christian McCaffrey's not Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason's the 49ers' leading running back. And those guys just don't get their numbers called enough in games, right? It's like we're going to force it to the guys whose names and paychecks are getting the biggest ones and all that. And you kind of want to respect that, right? It's like, hey, yeah, we want to get the guys with the big paychecks the ball more and all that stuff, right? But like, how many rushing touchdowns does Deebo have? And then does that put him back in the conversation?
He has like 20, but like how many of those are 1 or 2 yard runs versus
but
whatever?
What I'm asking is, does that put him back in the conversation with the McLaurins and the A.J. Browns? And it might not. He might still be 20 behind them. I don't know.
I mean, I think to be fair, I think that it does. But there's, again, that whole aspect of his game became obsolete when the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey. So that's not what the team needs anymore. The team's needs have changed since then, but Deebo Samuel has not. Right, and it costs zero money for him. All it costs is sweat tax to go out there and work on your route running.
So
like I've seen Deebo do a lot of like treadmill running and working out and shit like that. I have yet to see Deebo Samuel out there, running routes or doing anything. Hell, even during Brandon Ayuk's contract dispute or whatever, they were showing him catching the passes through like the hole in the tree or whatever. Like that's at least something, right? Like it's the same issue that I had with Colin Kaepernick. It's like, good dude, you're a weight room warrior and you can get out there and you can sprint and you can like move weight around and that's fucking fine. But like you can't throw a football. So why do I give a fuck? Like you're not working on the things that would make you a better quarterback. You're just working out. And if you're not working out with purpose, then you're not helping the team at all. If you're not doing specific things specific to what your job is, then you're not getting better at your job.
I get
that's the issue I have. Somebody wants to E-Nice. We can do the super chat first, but I want to throw up E-Nice's comment too.
Well, before we do that, I just think that we want Deebo to be something that we've never seen him be. And then when he tries to become it, we're not satisfied with what we're seeing, right? It's like we need you to get separation now. And while he's trying, it's not good enough. We need you to be a downfield blocker now. And while you're trying, you're getting holding penalties, right? I think we talked about that 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? Yeah. Like it's you're not a good wide receiver. We paid you for a gimmick, and the gimmick ran its course when we signed that player. I don't know if that's necessarily Deebo's fault versus the 49ers' fault for giving him this money and then getting someone that was going to come in here and make him obsolete. I don't know if that's his fault. So we can be mad at him for literally production. But if we have the mental wherewithal to understand why the production has gone down, then we also understand that it's not his fault.
It's fine. I understand why the production has gone down. I understand. But at the same time, if the production's gone down and you're getting paid too much, then you got to go. Right. No offense, no hard feelings. It's business.
I'm with that. So business. What I want to do is direct that energy back to the source, which takes me back to Kyle Shanahan hate.
Okay, but I don't like that either, though, because John Lynch everybody gives John Lynch a free pass, man. That this dude does have some say.
He's a Muppet, though.
But is he?
I didn't say puppet. I said Muppet, because Muppets have personalities.
I mean, he only has a job because Kyle handpicked him. So I would say there's not.
But this is year 8 for them, dude. Like, if you don't think that he's developed some sort of rapport and some stroke, and you know what I mean?
No, of course. I just think in the hierarchy, I'm not quite sure they're equal. That's
if Jed York and Kyle Shanahan if Jed York, Kyle Shanahan, and John Lynch walk into a room at the same time, and you got Kyle and John saying, choose right now, nobody in their right mind is going to say,
here's my argument to that. And it starts from year 1. Solomon Thomas. Whose pick was that? It wasn't fucking Kyle's.
I agree, but that doesn't
mean okay. Yeah, it does. That's their first round pick. The first pick that they're going to make as regime, and he gave it to John Lynch.
No. Okay, wait. See, and that
was John Lynch's pick.
That's without context. Kyle also was, I can't decide on the quarterback, so you know what? Take it with the defense, so there's no pressure on whatever quarterback we would have picked.
True.
To be my guy. Kyle did not want to commit to anybody coming out in that draft class, so he gave that first pick away.
So then would you say that the defense is more John Lynch's forte then? That's where John Lynch is?
I'll give you that.
Because there's problems on the defense too.
Why
does the defensive line not produce? All I'm saying is it's not just Kyle Shanahan. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. John Lynch gets a free pass when Devondre Campbell is in this fucking building. When we've gone through X number of defensive coordinators, and I understand that for the most part he's done a pretty good job, but the last 1.5, all due respect and all apologies to Wilkes, who I'd rather have than Sorensen at this point.
Shit, I did not expect that. Sorry,
yeah, absolutely.
Surprised me.
And by the way, get Brandon Staley out of the building, dude. His bad juju followed him from Los Angeles to here. The Chargers are well known for blowing fourth quarter leads, and now Harbaugh goes there. They're 7-3 or 8-3 or whatever the fuck they are. Right near the top of the division with Kansas City, and the 49ers are blowing fourth quarter leads. Get Brandon, sage his fucking office and get him the fuck out, man.
Yeah. Defensively, and then we'll get to the super chat. They can't get pressure. When they do get pressure, they can't get to the quarterback. When they do get to the quarterback, they can't get him down. It's like they're fucking drenched out there in Vaseline. It makes no sense. And their blitzes are so predictable. Almost any opposing offense knows when they're coming. They know how to block them. They run man at the highest rate. and they don't have the personnel to run it effectively that high. What are we doing? What are we doing? And what does work, he doesn't stick with long enough. It makes
and ever since D'Amico Ryans left town, they forgot how to tackle.
Yeah.
Oh,
when Saleh and D'Amico Ryans were here, they focused on tackling, wrapping up first. Now it's always this like, hey, try to get the big hit, or hey, try to get the strip, or this and this and that. No one gives a fuck. I don't give a fuck about turnovers. There was, I think I want to say 2021 or 20. I think it was 2021 because 2019, I think they first forced a lot of turnovers. One of the Super Bowl seasons, they didn't force a ton of turnovers, but they were so sound tackling wise that it didn't matter because they were blowing things up before they even got started. Now I expect missed tackle. The first guy's never going to get the fucking guy down. Like almost never.
Yeah.
I expect it.
Yeah. It's like hurry up and slow him down so someone else can get there and help you out. Every single time
just wrap
the first person
up,
makes
man.
contact. Yeah. And you know, that this is the shit that I've been saying, but guys, okay. Let me say that.
Go off, baby. Go off. Come on now.
No. I just got two things. I don't want Kyle Shanahan fired. I think he's built up enough equity to say, hey, I've been fucking up. Let's see if I can fix this.
Correct.
Let me be very clear with that one statement here. Next statement. Kyle is to blame for all of this shit because he has put the defensive coordinators in place, the offensive defensive line coordinators in place, the linebacker coaches in place. He has assigned all of these guys the jobs and responsibilities on this team. And if you have a defensive coordinator who is not going to go back to tackling fundamentals, Kyle, that is your fucking fault. Don't tell me that you're keeping Nick Sorensen because you don't want to switch schemes and you want to make it an easier transition for the new coach and the players and the coach and the defense regress. Then there was no fucking point in keeping the same guy from the same scheme. Just bring somebody else in here who's going to do something new that you have confidence in or somebody with some experience. We can't have it both ways.
Well, now my only pushback to that is, one, John Lynch is going to have a lot of input on who the defensive coordinator is, and two,
I don't think Lynch has any input.
Well, okay, I disagree with that 100%. Lynch is the one that's going to grease the wheels with some of these guys. Two, Kyle Shanahan and the whole Sorensen / Staley thing was their third choice. Because they tried to get Spagnuolo from the Chiefs and they tried to talk Bill Belichick into coaching their defense. Both of them. Well,
let me give you a 0.5 on Belichick because they made it sound,
so we'll say
a phone call like, hey, are you interested in returning? And he was like, no, not this year. And it was like, all right, cool. I don't know if they really like. But
here's the thing though: if he would have said yes, do you think they would have picked Sorensen over Belichick?
Fuck no. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
No,
so then that was their second choice. They would rather go and knock on Belichick's door than go with the guy. And when he said no after they tried to get Spagnuolo, then finally they were like, fuck, well, I guess we should just stay in-house for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but why do we keep accepting that? You did it with a Saleh hire. Well, it wasn't in-house, but it was a name down on the list from Seattle, and it's like, oh, we heard about this guy in Houston and Seattle. Let's bring him in here, right? Then it was like, well, he got D'Amico Ryans. Let's give him a shot, right? You got lucky with that transition.
Well,
Ryan's 100% honest.
Their linebacker coach, though.
Yes,
before he was.
I'm saying he got lucky.
They
with
hired
the
from
position
coaches,
right? Who the fuck was Sorensen?
I mean, to be fair, who the fuck was Mike McDaniel, who can't be a head coach, but was obviously a good coordinator? Like, but you don't know. But you don't know if they're going to be good in the position. And this is my problem with people who want to fire Kyle and go, "Oh, Ben Johnson." Like, you don't know if Ben Johnson's going to be a good coach. People thought Adam Gase was going to be a good head coach.
You think Ryan Day was a good quarterback coach?
Who?
Exactly my fucking point. Who's now the head coach for Ohio State because he was Kyle Shanahan's quarterback coach. He's not good. It was just a position and title so you can do what I'm asking you to do.
But what I'm saying is you don't know if somebody can do the job until they do the job. And it's also my argument why you don't fire Kyle Shanahan, because you don't know if somebody's going to be able to be better than him.
Well,
so you don't fire them.
I
know. A lot of people do. But, you know, it's year 8 for him, and he has 4 NFC championship games and 2 Super Bowl appearances under his belt, whatever. But, let's get to the super chat. I understand.
Hey, Mike. Sorry. Hey, Matt. You want to tell me your thoughts about the players being pissed after blowing leads, closing games? Debo, Warner, and Kittle talked about it.
They're not pissed enough to not let it happen for the third fucking time, so I don't want to hear about it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do something. I don't care how pissed you are. Do something about it.
That's probably the best thing to come out of the losses, though, if I'm going to be honest with you guys.
When the
player dissension starts, that means that coaches are going to start feeling some pressure also. Now, one of two things are going to happen. Well, there's a third option.
They rise to the occasion or they crumble. That's it.
Not only that, it's going to be in a massive way either side, right? Like, it's going to be so much pressure from the players on the coaches that the coaches have to say, hey, we got to start trusting you guys to do what you guys believe you're good at. And it's going to be a massive swing in a positive way. Or the players are all going to be like, yeah, whatever they're telling us is bullshit. I'm just going to go out here and do what I want. And you're going to have 11 guys on 11 different pages every single play, and we are going to look significantly worse than what we are. And then the third option was that we just remain the same, and they stay as bought in as they are right now. But 2 weeks ago, not last game that we just passed, and not the one before that, but the one, was it the Buccaneers game? One of these teams started coming back. We ended up winning the game.
Cowboys.
And
both of them technically.
They started coming back, and they asked Fred Warner at the podium, when you saw the 10-point lead and blah, 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 were you concerned that the team was going to come back? And he was like, yes. And I thought to myself, oh, no, not this again. That already tells you everything you need to know. That told me that he didn't believe in the offense. So now I have to make my defense do something, right? And he didn't believe in the 10 pieces around him to hold him down, so that way it didn't matter if the offense got back on the field. This is an infectious mindset that is permeating through the 49ers locker room right now, every single day as we speak. We can sit there and try to deny it. We can say, there's 7 games left and we can run the table and we're going to be just fine. Cool. If the 49ers finish this season 12-5, no one's going to say shit. No one's going to complain, right? But I remember the 5. I remember the 10. Fuck the 5. Right?
They'll complain.
These 10 have not been pretty. There's not been a single win other than week 1 against the bum-ass Jets, and we all see how bad they are, right? Other than the bum-ass Jets where it was like, man, we're coasting in this one. We got this one. There's not been a single win where I felt confident saying the 49ers aren't giving me anything to worry about. I can get up and go get a cup of coffee in the middle of this game. I've been on the edge of my seat every single game against subpar competition in the NFL. And that is not the standard that we play to. The players are feeling it. The players are feeling it, and they're all of a sudden going to start putting some pressure on these coordinators and coaches, and that's why they're going to the podium and openly saying, hey, this shit ain't right. Remember last year when Nick Bosa was like, yeah, we used to do this really well, and we just stopped doing it, but hey, that's not my job. I'm going to do whatever they're asking me to do. You know what happened? Fucking Steve Wilkes got fired right after that. Sometimes the players, the star players, have to go to the podium and put some pressure on these bum-ass coordinators. Say, hey, Kyle, you got yes men in here. We need somebody that's going to really figure out some shit.
Yeah, but do you really think that Sorensen's going to survive this year? He's not.
No one's going to survive this year.
No one, except for Kyle. Rightfully so. All the people in here calling for his job, y'all are silly. Y'all are silly.
Kyle's not going in. He just signed an extension.
He just signed an extension, 6-year extension. And he again, like you said, he has some capital. Like, the dude has the second best winning percentage the last 5 years in the NFL to Andy Reid. Like, if it wasn't for Andy Reid, he'd be a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Right.
Because we looked at those seasons, and every other team than the Chiefs, the 49ers matched up much better with and would have won those games. By the way, 2 different quarterbacks. He carried Jimmy Garoppolo's bum ass to a Super Bowl.
Oh, man. You guys.
I'm going to say this. I wonder if part of the issue with Kyle's offense is he doesn't have another person that he respects enough to bounce ideas off of, like a Mike McDaniel. I don't think he likes Clay Kubiak that much, to be honest. I don't think that he's getting the mental stimulation from Clay Kubiak that we see. His offense looks entirely different. And I don't know what he's doing. Like, no play action, no none of this stuff.
No screens. Not even any screens. What the fuck happened to all the screens?
I mean, they ran a 3rd down screen with Debo this week, and he got fuck all.
Yeah, one. But they used to be
They ran another one like 2 weeks ago, and Debo dropped that shit.
But we used to run a dozen a game, and we barely get any.
And everybody bitched about it, too.
We have a handful.
Like,
here comes
another total screen.
Yeah, they were bad.
Yeah.
They've never worked in the system here.
Right. So then, again, I don't want to hear about throwing screens. If
not even running back screens. That's what bugs me. It's like if they're bringing that much pressure, let them come in, throw over them, and get the ball to Christian McCaffrey with 3 offensive linemen as lead blockers. Like, what are we doing? Come on. If I can figure this out, why are we not trying it at the very least? It's like, we're expecting Purdy to go out there and drop back 40 times a game. and when it's the game that way, when that's never been their style, it's never been what Purdy has success.
But here's the thing. Here's where, and this is where I hope Kyle Shanahan makes a change, and I think he's going to, is that, again, remember when people asked him about offensive line, and he's like, I'd rather have another guy that can, score the ball.
Points.
Yeah. This year, I think, is going to change that. This year, I think he sees how important offensive line is. I think the fact they're not running play action, Zach, like you said earlier, you don't want Brock Purdy turning his back to the defensive line. He's going to get crushed. I counted no less than 3 plays against the Seattle Seahawks where he naked booted Brock Purdy out of the pocket, and there was a dude right fucking there.
Yeah.
Immediately
right there.
1, he threw into the ground. 2, I think, was an incompletion. The third one was the touchdown to Llewellyn Jennings. And you can't play like that, right? Again, you're doing Brock Purdy no favors. That's not his game. He needs to be able to stand. His footwork in the pocket is bad, and he's got happy feet this season because he's not getting blocked for. And a lot of that is a change in personnel, right? Feliciano played last year, who's an upgrade over Brendel, and an upgrade over whoever they would have had at right guard. Banks played better last year than he's playing this season for sure. And Trent Williams was actually still an All-Pro last year, and he's not this year. And so there's enough decline in the line that it's just not good.
You know what's crazy, fellas, man? 3 or 4 games ago, I came on here and said, despite our slow start, there's not a single team in the NFC that I think could stop us in the postseason.
Now there's remember 5. That conversation? Now there's 5.
I can't think of an NFC team that I don't fear right now. And I'm not bullshitting. I don't think we could beat the Eagles right now, and I don't respect their record.
I don't fear the Packers. I think the Packers are a paper tiger.
Remains to be seen.
What a great
we'll
time
find
to
out
play
very soon. Yeah,
exactly.
We'll find
exactly.
Now. While I agree that they're not that good, I think the Seahawks are a worse team than the Packers, and that's what scares me, Matt. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think the Packers are the real deal. I honestly don't think the Vikings are the real deal. I just don't think that they're worse than some of the teams we've lost to, and that's what scares me when I'm making those comparisons. Right? They can still be not the real deal and still be good enough to beat the 49ers.
Now, if the 49ers had somehow figured out not to blow those leads, right, and we're 8-2 right now instead of 5-5, will we even be talking about this?
Well, some of it.
Well,
we'd be talking about how they're battle tested.
They fight. Hey, good teams win close games. Good teams win ugly. That's
the last win that we had. We all came on here and was like, "Yeah, we won," but guys, we should not be celebrating shit. But I think that same sentiment.
Yes, but I think that's also in the context of them having thrown away 2 games already, and then throw away the Bucs game. You know what I mean? That's one where, again, a lot of these games, they've gotten out to leads and they've held the lead for a long time. And then at the end of the day, they're just giving them up, But I do think the conversation would be slightly different, although the problems would be there. And I'm actually kind of glad in a way that these losses have happened, because you always learn from your losses. You have to, right? It forces you to change and adapt, or you go by the wayside. The wins, I could see them trying to play them off even more than they have before. So,
do you guys think there's an end in sight this season? Do you think that there's something that we could do to right this ship this year and still make a respectable season? Let me not say good. Do you think that there's something that we could do to make a respectable season out of this one?
I would say yes. Here are the moves I would make. Kyle hires me as an advisor. I start tomorrow. Bench Brendel, start Feliciano, maybe get a rotation at either right tackle or right guard with Burford, even though I think he'd be better on the left, but we'll see.
What are you going to do with Pooney, though?
Sorry. Left guard or right tackle. Okay. Either or, preferably the left, because Trent's kind of struggling, but either or. I saw some fucking propaganda that Colton McKivitz is the 4th ranked right tackle this year from PFF. Get that shit off my feet. I'm not falling for that. No, he
sucks.
I would do that, so I'd immediately try and upgrade the offensive line with Feliciano and Burford. I would use Christian McCaffrey more in the slot and Jordan Mason in the backfield in a 2-back tandem with him and Isaac Guerrero. And I would immediately center the offense around Llewellyn Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. Basically, ixnay Deebo Samuel and rotate in Cowing if Kyle Shanahan feels that he's up to snuff at enough of a level to where he can have a meaningful impact on each game. And this is all with the hope and knowledge that Dre Greenlaw is coming back within the next week or two to help alleviate. Now, I know Dre Greenlaw is not going to be 100% right away, but you can't tell me like 70% of him isn't better than Devondre Campbell, who, in his credit, has played better the last couple of weeks, but just physically does not have the ability to
play better. He blew both those Geno Smith runs.
Well,
that was his assignment.
He's looked better.
He's had overall games. His overall games were a lot better than what they had been for the rest of the season. So I get what you're saying.
And if not, then I'd be okay rolling the dice with Winters. The secondary had been okay. I was knowingly going to take a hit. We were going to take a hit from them because Mooney was out, rightfully so, with the passing of his daughter. So Yidam was in, and Yidam had a pick, almost had two, should have had two. But the idiot was too far up on the second one. But that's how I would. And I do think the
dude thought it was Michael Jordan for a second.
He thought he could jump 7 feet in the air.
He was like, I'm going to throw down that oop, brother.
Yeah.
Not really.
So I think that would be a good start. Because to be honest with you, although the defense seems to have like melted down on these losses in the last two possessions, my main focus and concern is the offense. They have not looked the same. It seems like every single game they haven't put together four straight quarters yet of good football, and it's like we're constantly waiting for them to get in that rhythm, and then they do something. And I saw, was it Lombardi tweeted they had a 14-play drive Sunday versus the Seahawks that didn't end in a touchdown, didn't end in a turnover, didn't end in turnover on downs. 14-play drive. And they punted. Now, obviously, that's due to penalties.
Who gives a shit? That's 14
plays. 14 plays.
On one drive.
But here's what I would say is the offense between the 20s is one of the best in the league. They're still, I think, like fifth in the league in yards. No, but hold on. Let me finish my fucking point, Michael.
Because I've heard it so many times. I'm sorry. You're right, though. I'm sorry.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's terrible. But I want to hear it. I do want to know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Where they need to adjust completely and overhaul is in the red zone. If you can't score, then between the 20s doesn't matter. And they have to figure out something they can do in the red zone, whether it's different play calling, whether it's, again, some of the stuff that they call in the red zone is really fucking weird. Like when they do empty sets from like the 5-yard line, like, what are you doing, dude? Like that you need to have, these are where they need to have the threat of run and pass. Okay. By the way, I hope this is where you wanted me to go, Mike, just saying, because like it could be a lot better. All of the stuff you're giving to Debo, the wide back runs and shit, give it to Ricky Pearsall. He's clearly faster. Clearly faster. Clearly knows how to follow a block better.
Zach said something that I thought was so genius. It's almost obvious, right? Like, just hear me out for like just one split second. If you had two receivers to put on the field for the Niners for the rest of the season, what two receivers would they be? And I want you guys to be honest. Take your hate and assume that other pieces around them are good. But your two best receivers with the ball in their hands, who are they going to be?
Juwan and Ricky.
Juwan and Ricky?
It depends. It depends on what the goal is.
Okay. All right.
My goal right now.
Let me do it a different way.
Okay.
Let me do it a different way.
Okay.
The genius point that I thought Zach made was Christian McCaffrey and Mason on the field at the same time, but then you slide CMC to the slot. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have two receivers on the field and him in the slot and Mason in the backfield, I think that we, casual observers, recognize that Mason is slightly more dangerous with the ball in his hands out of the backfield than Christian McCaffrey is right now. However, Christian McCaffrey is significantly more dangerous than probably any wide receiver the 49ers have coming out of the slot right now. Doesn't that open shit up for the two guys on the outside?
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
Right? So if we can see this very simple shit, and or George Kittle, who I didn't even get to being out on the field, if we can see this simple shit, why won't we do it? Why?
And like Kyle was asking about that today. I think Matt Mayoko asked him, "Hey, why don't you do more stuff with Christian and Jordan Mason out there?"
I didn't see the.
And he said, "You might." Like, as in, like, hey, like, let me cook. I'm working on some shit. Like the tone that he gave, it wasn't like a straight up like dismissal, like he does every time Grant asks him a question. Like he was like, yeah, it's possible. You can see that. Like in a way that like was like maybe he's going to work some of that in. My only issue with that plan to me is that I don't know if they exactly trust Mason in pass pro, just like they don't trust Guerrero in pass pro.
I'll be honest with you. If they have blitz beaters built into every single play, you don't need a guy that's going to be A+ in pass pro every single play.
I think that's fair. But I think that part of it, we saw again in the Bucs game how mad Trent Williams got when Isaac Guerrero blew that blocking assignment.
Yes,
and
but here's the difference though. If you have CMC in the slot, let's just say Jennings and Debo, right? I think we all realize that Debo is really dangerous with the ball in his hands in space.
Sure.
If you got Kittle, Debo, Jennings, who was a very clutch, good, pure wide receiver, right? CMC and Mason, your most dangerous ball carrier and dangerous route runner, on the field all at the same time. If you have them all out there, an opposing defense is going to be hard-pressed to even consider blitzing with that package of personnel on the field. And if you do it, Brock, fuck Mason, Brock, you better find the hot and deliver that ball because someone's going to be butt-ass naked open, and it's going to be a big play, right? How is it that we can see and identify this, and Kyle's just like, I need more time to figure it out?
I can't remember who it was, but I want to give credit where credit is due because it was said in a way that made me think about it like I'd never thought about it before. Kyle seems to think about his offense like a wide receiver would think because he played wide receiver. He's not thinking about it from the quarterback's perspective. And so he's scheming wide receivers open. He's like, they just need to get him the fucking ball, not realizing like, hey, man, like, you got to
quarterback's being left out there to die.
Make sure your hots are to the same side as the uncovered dude, like the free rusher. Make sure it's so that he's looking that way, because a lot of their hots.
That's not where the hots normally are.
JT O'Sullivan points it out that a lot of times Brock's like hot read is opposite the side of the free rusher.
Oh, see, that's some bullshit because everyone says like if the pressure's coming from that way, throw it over his head.
Throw into the blitz.
That's
right.
What
you're supposed to do.
Holy shit.
If you watch any of JT O'Sullivan's
that's
stuff,
like
he
football
consistently
101.
consistently points out that he hates that Kyle makes Brock do the 7-step drops from under center. Like there's a lot of things.
Line doesn't, they don't let him hold up enough for him to get to his 7th. So by the time he's hitting that hitch on the 8th step or the 7th, the offensive lines are already collapsing around him.
And you need to call your offense, specifically offensive line, like the Saints would call it for Drew Brees. You need guys that can create a throwing lane for Brock Purdy. Because, again, a lot of people ripped on him for that throw to Debo that sailed. But, again, the defensive tackle was already pushing into the backfield with a hand up. And Brock is like 6 feet on a good day. So he's got to get that ball up and over the top. And he's throwing to a spot because he's an anticipation thrower. So he's just like, fuck, I got to get it there without getting it batted down, which, of course, everybody complains about when Brock gets a ball batted down. Like as if he's doing it on purpose. Like, honestly, to me, a lot of people said that, criticize Brock Purdy. I don't think Brock Purdy was the reason why the 49ers lost. In fact, I thought that he was a lot of the reason why they were in the game.
Yeah.
Both touchdowns were on Brock Purdy, like kind of.
Yeah, nah, he had an off game. I know what
he didn't have a great game.
Yes.
He didn't have a great game.
But it would have been a lot worse.
Right.
Also, can I add in my prescription to fix the 49ers? Stop doing that fucking thing where you have Debo or Christian in the back.
Oh my God, just stand out. You roll him out to the side, and Debo just fucking stands there. You're playing 11-on-9 football.
And no, there's no route. Like, at least make them run a route. At least make them. And also, plus, it's kind of similar, but I've seen McVay do this. I think I've seen
Mike McDaniel does the orbit the orbit motion.
Not that, but the Kingsbury do it, where he has receivers line up, they're in motion, and then they stop in the backfield. And when the ball snaps, they run routes through the tackles. I would love to see Kyle do that with McCaffrey or Debo or anybody really, because it's so what's the word I'm looking for? Like irregular, that teams aren't really used to that, like running an actual route through the middle of the line and they go up, and it would be great. I would love to see them do that, but at the very least, stop doing that fucking weird motion that takes that player out of the play completely.
Unfortunately, we're not going to get any of that this year. But the one good thing I will say is that we will find out what kind of head coach Kyle Shanahan's going to be. Because I don't think, I mean, obviously, you don't go into this season saying, like, yo, my shit's not going to work this year. Now he knows, dude, my stuff's not working like it should. What am I going to do to fix it? And next year, I think, is going to be a true test if he can adjust to the league, adjusting to him or not. But wholesale change is not going to happen this year.
I got 2 questions for you guys, both about Brock Purdy. How concerned are you guys with this shoulder injury? He was listed as limited in practice today. I want to know how concerned you guys are with it. Actually, it's 3 questions. 2, if Brock can't go for whatever reason, which quarterback do you want to see out there against the Packers? And 3, and this is a big, big one, so please answer this part last, and maybe we can transition. Is it possible Kyle and this team moves on from Brock this offseason? Think about all of that as you answer those questions, but get to that last part last.
So what was the first part?
The first part was, how concerned are you with the shoulder injury? And then 2, which backup do you want to see if Brock can't go?
I'm not concerned at all. There was no reports of any imaging or anything like that. It's probably just sore because he took a lot of hits. And so you're trying to allow that soreness to alleviate. If there was something like potentially on imaging, we would have heard about it. But Kyle said he's day to day, and that he was limited in practice, and he's out there essentially doing everything but throwing, right? Like, he's going through all the motions, doing like mental reps and stuff like that. He's gonna be there. If for whatever reason lightning struck and he's not, who would I want out there? I honestly don't care. Neither of the other options are very good. Like, it's a toss-up, right? Like, Josh Dobbs maybe gives you a little bit more on the playmaking in terms of like off-schedule stuff, but Brandon Allen has more experience in the offense. Like, it's a pick your battle. I think they would probably go with Brandon Allen because he would run their offense more the style that they would want it to be run. But I don't really think it matters. Zach, do you want to answer the first 2 parts, and then we can kind of skip back around to the third part?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. Anytime your quarterback, it's the throwing arm, right? That's what he hurt. Yeah. Anytime. Yeah. I mean, anytime that's an injury, it's concerning.
Everybody made a big deal about the sleeve and was like, "Is this the injury again?" And it's like, well, first of all, he injured his elbow. 2, he's had that sleeve ever since he injured the elbow.
Right.
That's like maintenance. That's what he's supposed to be doing.
It is a little concerning. The fact that it altered practice. I know they're just being proactive, protective with it. But still, if he takes more hits, is this something that could get worse? I don't know. It's a little concerning. If he weren't able to go, give me Josh Dobbs, man. I don't want to see fucking Brandon Allen back there. I don't think Josh Dobbs should have gotten quarterback 3. I thought he earned the backup spot. I feel like Kyle Shanahan sees a higher floor with Brandon Allen. But we've actually seen Josh Dobbs win like meaningful games in the NFL just coming into a system. So I would be fine seeing Dobbs if Purdy can't go. Mike, do you want to answer the questions yourself? Because I don't think we got your answers on these.
No, yeah. Thanks for tossing that to me too. Like, I am a kind of concerned only because I'm not sure. Kyle Shanahan has this way of like detaching himself from a quarterback that he doesn't trust in the 3rd year. 3rd year in with Jimmy, it was over for Jimmy. Like, we might have had to stick with him a little bit longer, but the writing was on the wall that he was not going to be the guy going forward long term, right? 3rd year in with Trey Lance, like, he was out of here. He was gone, right? 3rd year in with even Brian Hoyer, right? He's out of here. He's gone, right? 3rd year in, like, they do it. In 3 years, Kyle has this mental assessment of a player at the quarterback position. He knows whether or not he's that guy. My concern is he's there with Brock. We don't know what the answer is. And is this shoulder injury a real excuse, or is it like just the start of beginning of the end to see if I can put another guy in here, get a couple more practice reps, and see if I'm confident enough to just move on? Not that this guy is better, but am I confident enough to just move on? That's number 1. Number 2, who would I want it to be? Up until this very last game, I would have said it should be Brandon Allen. But after this last game, I realized how many plays Brock made with his legs that I think might be actually by design. And that makes me say maybe it should be Dobbs instead of Allen going out there and running this offense just for one game. Now, if you told me it was 3 games, I'm going to probably take Allen because I agree with Matt that he's going to run the more traditional style of offense that we're going to have, right? But if it's just one game, they should maybe go with Dobbs.
Okay. Interesting take there. So the last question was, is there any way we see them move off of Purdy? What was the question, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, and that was what my point was, right? After 3 years, Kyle kind of has this read on all his quarterbacks. He knew that Jimmy wasn't that guy after the 3rd year. First year or half a year, whatever it was, they had Jimmy here after the trade deadline. Hey, we got to give him a contract, right? We go through a full season. When that 3rd year was here and done, they were trying to move on from Jimmy. The contract had already been done, but they were trying to move on. 3rd year with Trey Lance, they traded him and they moved on. We're in the 3rd year with Brock Purdy, and I'm going to be 100% clear with you guys here. I don't know if Purdy's the guy. For the first 2 seasons, I was like, yeah, he looks good. I'm seeing a regression or maybe not a progression. Maybe Purdy's exactly the same as he was last year, but defenses have caught up with him, so it's making him look like he's down here now, right? But no matter how you try to spin it, I'm not as sold on Purdy as I was before the season started. And if Kyle feels that way, is there a chance that they are willing to move on from him this offseason? Because the counter to that is you got to give him $60 million. He's either your starter or he's not. You're giving him $60 million or you're not. And I just don't know that the Niners think that he's worth the $60 million right now. So that's what I wanted your opinion on.
I really don't know if 60 is going to end up being the number, but I can't imagine. I literally cannot imagine a scenario in which they don't extend him, in which they move on, because moving on from Brock Purdy would force them to admit and do so many things. And I just don't think that that's possible or even likely. Who are you going to draft? They're not drafting in the top 5. So you'd have to draft a quarterback in a weak quarterback class. Who are you going to sign? You want to go and get like a 39, 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, however old he is. That's at the very best a Band-Aid for a impending, problem. And Brock Purdy has shown almost he can succeed at every level. We're talking about moving off of him, and the 49ers don't even have a losing record this season. Like, they're 5-5 right now. If they were like 2-8, maybe I think I could understand it a little more. But they're 5-5, and I don't think he's the reason for most of their 5 losses, right? I think there's a ton of reasons that the 49ers haven't played well this year. Brock Purdy maybe at highest is like 10th to 15th on that list of reasons. Finding a quarterback, it's completely different, but it's also kind of the same. It's like finding a wife. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine because you've been with this girl for 2.5 years that you like met at the bar randomly one night and you hit it off. Everything's been great, but you like don't like her chicken. And you're like, maybe I can find another wife. It's like, well, you can't just find another quarterback out there. You can't just find another wife. Like, this is a 1 in a million type thing. And not only that, but I just really think that like this is going to sound super like cheesy. And I was going to say a bad word. I'm not going to say it. His story's too fucking special to just like pass up on and give up and just say like, oh, all right, we tried. That's it. Mr. fucking irrelevant. Like, it's written in the stars. It is written in, I could hear it ESPN 30 for 30 beginning right now in my head. What if I told you, somebody passed on by every team. Brock Purdy is meant to be an NFL star. And if the past 2.5 to, however long he's been for the 49ers hasn't shown us that, then we all deserve to have our eyes taken out of our heads because he's done nothing but succeed at the NFL. And I think what's even more crazy is, and we've said this a million times in the past 9 months, he didn't ever leave the field in the Super Bowl without the lead. Every single time he got off the field in the Super Bowl, he had the lead. I don't even think you're asking this question, Mike, if Nick Bosa stays home on 4th, or I shouldn't say Nick Bosa, if the 49ers get the stop on that 4th down stop in overtime, I think it was overtime, and they win in walk-off fashion, because it's like they got a ring. There's no way we're moving off of this guy. But because the defense couldn't hold the Chiefs and they went and scored a touchdown when the 49ers only got a field goal, now there's these weird questions of whether or not he's even worth extending. I'm not entertaining it. Extend the man. I think he's earned it. It's not every day you find a franchise quarterback. And you know, I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to kick it to Matt, because the same precedent fits for a quarterback. People talk about firing Kyle Shanahan, and it's the meme from Family Guy. An elite coach is an elite coach, Lois, but the next hot offensive coordinator can be anything. He could even be an elite coach. It's the same thing with the quarterback. You know, a franchise quarterback is a franchise quarterback, but a top 5 draft pick can be anything. It can even be a franchise quarterback. You have him in your hands, in the building, wearing your color, your logo. Don't fuck it up. It's as simple as that. Just don't fuck it up. I'm done. Matt.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, I was like, it's so like, through 2 years, yeah, we felt like he was a franchise quarterback, but this is the 3rd year now, and this is like, I don't know if he's that guy.
Why?
Good defenses around the NFL catch up to quarterbacks in the 3rd year. We've all heard this before. All of
CJ
us
Stroud's having a step back. Is he not a franchise quarterback now?
I don't know. That remains to be seen. But he's got 2 more years where we can figure that out before they have to give him a big deal. We have this year.
How about Patrick Mahomes? 15 touchdowns, 11 picks. Is he not a franchise guy?
That's this year.
Right.
But he's proven through the last 5 years that, yeah, he's the franchise guy.
What, Brock Purdy hasn't done shit the last 2 years?
2. What, you guys are missing what I'm saying.
Well, wait. Patrick Mahomes' first year starting, did he not have 50 touchdown passes? Like, why does it all of a sudden take X number of years before you realize somebody's good?
I don't care how great he was. What I'm focusing on is when the league catches up to you in year 3, how you adjust to it. We haven't seen Brock make that adjustment in the 3rd year. Right?
What adjustment is he supposed to make?
I'll tell you. Listen to me.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick was good years 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
That 3rd year, when they tried to make him a better passer and tried to change him and improve his game, fell off a cliff. Andrew Luck was good years 1 and 2. Right? When the league started catching up to him, this guy fucking retired. Like he got out of Dodge. That's Andrew Luck, Robert Griffin III, Jameis Winston. All these guys that were supposed to be those guys that were drafted very high. I'm not talking about a Mr. Irrelevant. Once that 3rd year hit and defenses started catching up to them and the film was out there, all these guys took steps back. It was the elite of the elite, or the good of the good, the great of the great, that were able to say, hey, it's my 3rd year. I'm going to adjust to their adjustment to me so I can prove that I belong here. I haven't seen Brock adjust to the league's adjustment to him. Does that make any sense? I'm not saying he's not the guy. There's still 7 games left. There's still 7 games left.
I think you're overwatching the 49ers and underwatching everybody else, because if you based off of the tape, you wouldn't say that. Based off of the tape from around the league. Where do you think Brock Purdy is in QBR for the league?
QBR, he's probably top 12. I think he's up there.
6th. Yeah,
that's not
okay.
But wait.
What about yards?
Wait. What about yards? Before I answer the yards,
okay.
QBR it's very heavily swayed by pass percentage. At one point in this last game, Brock Purdy was like 20 of 25. I don't give a shit. He had like 170 yards. That's nothing. Like that was not a good ratio. But I do know that QBR is heavily swayed by percentage completion. Just want to put that out there.
Okay. Yards?
We've been doing way more passing than running this year. He's got to be top 7,
6,
top 8. Yeah. That feels right.
Mm-hmm. He's, top 12. He's 12th in touchdown passes. He's up there for that.
His touchdown and interception ratio is almost 1-to-1. He's got to be like 13-8 or something like that. 13-9, something like that.
13-8. Yeah. All right. How about adjusted EPA?
I don't know what that means. So
adjusted EPA is expected points above average.
It's not something that I can calculate on my own.
And that's okay. It's expected points per average, and it's a metric. The adjusted EPA is adjusted per pass protection, receiver drops, dropped interceptions, luck on interceptable passes, fumble recoveries, and interception returns, giving credit for expected yards after the catch only, and accounting for defenses faced. What do you think he is? Third.
He was most for what most.
So,
he was first
he's third.
So what is happening?
He's third and putting up 17 points a game. Bra fucking vo.
No, it's not. It's not.
What
him.
are we saying?
It's not him. What you're doing is you're putting it all on Brock Purdy's feet, not taking into account injuries to playmakers, a shit O-line, bad play calling from Kyle Shanahan. It's just all Brock Purdy's fault. That's what you're doing. You're reducing.
From the start of the show, I've blamed everybody on this roster. That's not what I've done.
So then if Kyle's having a bad season, which you would agree, right?
Yep.
And then lots of receiver injuries and right. Okay. And then offensive line is bad, right? So why wouldn't the expectation that Brock Purdy would have a worse season?
Because I can still see all of that and say that Brock Purdy's regressed. That the passes that he normally threw in stride are behind people now. The passes that he was dropping and rainbowing over people are now being tipped at the line of scrimmage now.
Why?
I can say all of that and separate it all. I can compartmentalize what I'm seeing from one person.
Why?
Because he's getting
so
worse
the
offense catching up to him.
Oh, he's getting worse. It's not that the offensive line is having more people in his face than before. It's not the fact that
that's possible with the tip passes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Okay. And you don't think that affects his ability to step into throws as well? People in his face. You don't think that Kyle Shanahan calling the lowest number of play action passes and not using, dual threat formations for run or pass has a part of that? Poor scheming in the red zone has no part in that whatsoever. I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is blameless, but to not expect some level of drop off when literally every other part of the offense has had levels of drop off is you know what I'm saying? Like if you think that he's regressed, it's only because the entire offense has regressed.
It's one thing to say like, all right, there's going to be some drop off versus every single game Brock is making the same mistakes. The inaccuracies are rearing their head. I don't have any stats pulled up in front of me. I would venture to say that this is his least accurate season of his tenure so far here with San Francisco. Through 10 games, I bet you he's thrown the least amount of touchdowns and the most interceptions in his tenure as a 49er. I will venture to say that Brock Purdy has had more passes tipped through 10 games than he's probably had in a fucking season. In 2 seasons as the 49ers quarterback. And so my point is, while the offensive line is going to be a large part of that because the defenders are closer to him.
And Kyle's change in play calling is going to be a huge part of that too. Brock Purdy's on pace to throw like 500 passes this year.
Which is significantly higher than, what was it, 375?
But that also counteracts your idea that he's ready to move off of Brock. If you're ready to move off of somebody, you certainly don't put the ball in their hands way more.
Or you test them out to see if he can handle it.
No. He certainly didn't do that with Jimmy.
Because he
certainly didn't do it with Trey.
He knew
our biggest
Jimmy
complaint about Trey. He doesn't know that Brock's not the guy. Our biggest complaint with Trey Lance is that he ran quarterback power and wouldn't let him throw the ball because he knew he was shit at throwing the ball.
As a pure quarterback, right? Yeah,
right.
I'm with you on that.
He's certainly letting Brock throw the ball.
But wouldn't you think that, hey, if I can't depend on my run game without the best running back in the NFL, I want to see if you can carry the load? Now he's getting the answers right now. Whether we like the answers or not, he's getting the answers. No, what do you mean? I'm not trying to be argumentative. I just think more has been put on Brock Purdy with a supporting cast of a bunch of veterans, and the offense hasn't delivered. And I think a large part of that is going to fall on the quarterback. I'm not saying that Brock is 100% of the fault. I want to be very clear. I started the show blaming every single position minus the cornerback.
Right, but
I blame every position.
My thing is that you're talking about moving on from Brock Purdy. Like, why would you move on from?
I'm not. I'm saying because the alternative.
They're not moving.
The alternative to not moving on from him is $60 million a year. I don't think that Brock Purdy has shown. What?
No, it's not. He's not going to get 60. You could listen. You could easily do, and there's precedence for this. We've seen it. You could easily do the Kirk Cousins route and just franchise him for 2 years, which would be less than 60.
You think the Niners are going to do that?
Why can't they?
I'll tell you why. You could franchise them, but every single dollar under that franchise tag is salary cap hit. The Niners don't play that game. The one thing the Niners don't do is your contract is all salary cap hit. They don't play.
You really think that Purdy's going to get 60?
Average per year? Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
He won't top 50.
Which,
I'm
hey,
calling it.
Mike,
I'm calling it right now.
Even with the 50,
would help us. A down season would help us in negotiating that number. So
it would. But even
I
with
don't
the
even
50,
think he
really
wants
quick,
it like that.
even with the 50, you think he's worth it
yes.
right now?
Yeah.
Have you seen
Because
quarterbacks?
again,
I digress.
what's the alternative? You have one of the worst quarterback classes in history. The 2021 class was lauded as this great quarterback class, and there's not even a good one fucking among them.
This was the last guy picked
They're
in the
all
class. Who gives
bad.
a shit how the class ranks if we can get the production from someone? Who cares how the class ranks?
Who
I don't care
has-
about the top 10 guys. He wasn't a top 10
Who-
quarterback in his draft class.
Okay, but that's a logical fallacy. He stumbled into their laps. It's not like they fucking went out and scouted him and were like, this guy's so good and this and this and that. Like, it was a question of whether he was going to beat out Nate Sudfeld in training camp.
True.
It was a question, right?
Yeah.
And he still started the season third on the list.
Mhm.
If he played like we know he plays, then clearly you could see, and Kyle said it later, he was the best one in camp or whatever. But who has Kyle picked as a quarterback that's been worth a fuck other than Brock? He didn't pick Jimmy Garoppolo. Bill Belichick called John Lynch personally and said, do you want him? No. Kyle picked Brian Hoyer, and then he picked
CJ Beathard,
and
Nick
then
Mullins.
Jimmy Garoppolo was there, but he liked Nick Mullins, and then they all went in and picked Trey Lance, which was a disastrous pick.
Yes, sir.
Brock Purdy stumbled into their lap. So if
Mhm.
I'm looking at it from the 49ers, it's just like, I'm not paying. Like, I'm not giving up Brock Purdy to go potentially do. They can't afford to whiff on another quarterback. They'll be done. They'll be fired.
Yeah.
Like this dude wins you games. He's having the worst statistical season of his career. His passer rating still like 96.
So also, I'll just say that we can start to preview the next game a little bit and start to wrap up here. It's getting late. Don't compare Brock to the almighty. Compare Brock to the alternative. And I think that's what a lot of people get caught up with. Is he Josh Allen? Is he Patrick Mahomes? No, but I have news for you. Fucking nobody is. Fucking nobody is. So what else can you get, and can you win with it? I think that's really what it is. And it's not every day that you can get a Josh Allen, because I say Patrick Mahomes, statistically, I would say he's about on par with Brock Purdy's season. So how much would that really change if they swapped roles right now? Josh Allen is really the prototype of what you want of a modern NFL quarterback. They tried that with Trey Lance. It didn't work out. And they just don't grow off trees. They just don't grow off trees. And mind you, Mike, the Bills took how long to develop him? If they were going to write him off after his rookie contract after 3 years.
But it was the third season where Josh started to take off. And that was kind of my point.
But that was after 2 years of shitty play.
Here's my lesson for this, okay? Last season, when Joe Burrow got hurt and Jake Browning came in and played really well, what was the word on the street? Oh, fucking Joe Burrow. He's not good. He's a product of everything around him. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. Burrow's like the best quarterback in the NFL, not named Lamar Jackson right now.
He's having an MVP year, yeah.
Right. He's got 28 touchdowns and 4 picks. Leads the league in yards, and they can't fucking win a game.
Yeah.
That's not Joe Burrow's fault. You know what I mean? Like, be careful about writing people off too early just because of a down season. Like, Patrick Mahomes is being carried by his defense this year. Patrick Mahomes has 3 more picks than Brock Purdy, only 2 more touchdowns, and allegedly has like the best offensive mind.
I think you guys are getting caught up in comparing him to other quarterbacks versus the money he's going to get on the market. But you have
to. When you're talking about the market,
right.
What is so-and-so getting? Who's the top guy getting? What is he worth? You don't just go buy a car independent of every other car that's ever been purchased. It's all relative. And that's the same thing with Brock Purdy and the 49ers coming to the contract. The same thing that just happened with Brandon Ayuk.
So
Brandon Ayuk literally said, I want to wait until all these other receivers get paid because then I'm going to base my contract off that.
Because the market is the market. He's going to get at least 55, guys. Like, he's either your starter or he's not. And this is the same thing I said with Brandon Ayuk. The market is the market. It's not about Ayuk, how good he is, right? Once he signs as the wide receiver 1 of a 49ers or of an NFL franchise, he's going to get top 10 money, period. Brock's going to get top 5 money because that's how the quarterback market does. They don't do top 10. They do top 5.
But here's the difference. There's nobody that's going to be on the market that's going to drive up that price at all.
It's not about driving it up. It's about where the market is already set, man. And I think
Dak Prescott had the Cowboys over a barrel.
Who else were they going to get other than Dak Prescott?
Right.
And he still got the bag. That's my point. That's my point. Is that's exactly my point. The market.
Who do you trust?
There were no other
deals?
options.
Who do you trust to make deals more? Do you trust Jerry Jones or do you trust Parag?
That's not fair. I like what you did there. That's not fair. That's not fair.
I
really like what you did there.
But it is fair.
But
you know what I mean? Like the Cowboys do dumb shit all the time. They fucking how much money did CeeDee Lamb get? CeeDee Lamb got like an enormous amount of money.
Well, he's
like
been
near
balling.
Justin Jefferson money. And he ain't just Justin Jefferson.
He's been playing well. His team just sucks around him. But all right. So let's
like look at a player like I would say like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who didn't get nearly as much as the other guys, but he's arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. But like better than the other guys, right?
So let's say we don't agree on the Brock contract with what it's going to come in, what it's going to come in at, right? I think we all agree that no matter what number it comes in at, it's going to be a top 10 quarterback.
It'll be top 10 for sure.
I just don't agree. It'll be record setting.
Yeah, I don't either.
Subscribe to that notion.
I also think
the latest.
And I know, Mike, you've talked about this before. I know that you've talked about like every player's trying to get everything that they can. There, I don't know. There's something about Brock that makes me feel weird that he's going to want to like sacrifice some for the team because I feel like that's just you're talking about a kid that's doing like fucking Toyota commercials and like lived with a roommate until he got married.
Really down year, like Zach was saying. Then in order to want to do that, he said it. And
I don't think he's gonna take as much as he maximally can. He's gonna take some for sure.
Yes.
But I don't think that he's going to try to like set the market or like hold out like Debo did or Nick Bosa did or Brandon Ayuk did. He's going to be like, hey, like this is fair and it allows the team to still make moves. I think he's going to go the Brady route where he takes a little less to give the team flexibility.
All right. I digress. I'll save the rest of my Brock Purdy questions for
okay.
Especially, by the way, if he signs this next offseason when his cap hit is still like $1 million, they can front load a signing bonus for him that would like take you'd have a huge chunk of contract.
They can give him a $40 million signing bonus over 7 years, and it'd be nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Or what I mean though is that they can do something like you know how it's like do it signing or whatever. Like they can give him a huge chunk of money up front, and then he doesn't have to worry about it. But like there's a difference between people that are like, oh, you know, all glory to God, this and that, and they live their life like a complete fucking asshole. And then there's a guy like Brock Purdy who actually you see him like live, you know, religious values and like this is not meant to preach. I'm not a religious person, but there is something to be said about like religious communities giving to others and not taking as much for themselves. And I think that that's like just going to be something in his mind that I think is going a little unsaid. So right. I don't think he's going to try to max out.
Wrapping up here since it's getting late.
Yeah.
Share one thing we want to see the 49ers improve upon Sunday versus the Packers. And maybe we could tie it into if they do it right, they can win the game. This is the first time, by the way, since 2022 that Brock Purdy has gone into a game not favored. They are currently 2-point underdogs versus the, I think, 7-3 Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I like it. I've been waiting for them to be dogs, man.
Yes. This is our first time being underdogs all year long. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
I love it. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until you said it. I am so hyped.
Dogs. 2-point dogs. So, Mike, we'll start with you. What is one thing you want? Well, now I see ESPN has it at 1.5, but I saw my book.
Still dogs, though.
Still dogs.
Yes.
Barely.
If the 49ers do X well and right, they win the game. What is X?
I've got 3 answers. The one I'm going to go with the most is tackle. For my biggest complaint about the 49ers defense, it's in all the levels of disappointment that I've had with them. The truth of the matter is if the first guy tackled upon first contact, we would be significantly better in yards per attempt and yards per rush and yards per reception or throw and all that. But like Matt said, you know, an hour ago, they miss every first tackle opportunity that they get. If they could just tackle better upon first contact, this defense would look so much better than what they are. Fuck the peanut punch. I don't need Fred Warner coming in here trying to tackle and punch the ball out and all that stuff. I am 100% with just go out there and make the damn tackle. So if they could do that, that'll give the offense plenty of opportunities to go out there and score, and 17 points might win this game if they made tackles upon first contact.
Okay. I'll share mine, and then we'll end up with Matt. Then we'll do the offensive, defensive predictions. I'm going to say run the ball. We haven't seen them run the ball effectively since Christian McCaffrey has come back, and hopefully we use all three of the running backs. Hopefully we don't come here Sunday afternoon and say, damn, I can't believe Mason only got 2 carries. Damn, I can't believe Guerrero didn't even see the field. Damn, I can't believe Christian McCaffrey was, 22 carries for 34 yards or something like that. So run the ball well. George Kittle's back, who is your best blocking tight end. I think if they run the ball well, they have a good shot at winning this game. The Packers, I was looking at their stats fast recently, what they've given up. They're not the best run defense. So that's my do that well. Got a good shot at winning. Matt, what do you got?
Execute. Come in focused and do your fucking job. If you do that, there's no reason why you shouldn't win. The 49ers problem has been one of focus and concentration. It's why they've blown fourth quarter leads 3 times this season, and almost blown 5 if you really think about it, because they tried to give away the Bucs game and there was one other that I can't remember. But literally do your fucking job and focus, execute. Just go into the game not feeling like you've arrived, not feeling like you're the best of the best, this and this and that. Go in and do your goddamn job. Fred, do your job. Don't try to do Devondre Campbell's job, right? Offensive line, do your job, right? Call out the right protection. Pay attention to what's going on. Block the guy you're supposed to block. Wide receivers, run your routes. Brock Purdy, make the throws. Like that, it's all stuff. Like I said, I've harped on it from day one. You cannot name me a game where the 49ers have played clean from beginning to end. Not even the Jets game. Not even the Jets game, where there was a lot of sloppiness. Get the slop out of it and actually do something with execution, with focus. So execute is my answer.
By the way, we're going to do our offensive and defensive predictions, but I see the chat saying, what ifs? Wow, I can't believe we're doing what ifs. How else are we supposed to talk about an event that has not happened yet? Like we're predicting if they do this well, they'll win. Of course, it's a what if, I guess, but
even if, okay, the Niners are going to lose this game because they're not a good team, how do they lose it? It's still a what if. So what are we talking about?
So, all right. Offensive prediction. Mike, you're on the big screen. So,
all right, let's do it.
Offensive
and by the way, it's half the people that came in and were like, the 49ers should fire Kyle Shanahan for Ben Johnson. That's also literally a what if.
Offensive score, or excuse me, offensive player of the game.
Okay. This is, I've done an offensive lineman already this year. I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel. Hear me out. Deebo's not the best route runner, not the best blocker. He's not the best pass catcher. If he ends up being a guy that we can all say, man, Deebo had a phenomenal game, the Niners are probably in a really good standing. That means the run game was going well. That means that the offensive line was blocking well. That means the tight end showed up and protected for him. So I'm going to go with Deebo. Like, this is a desperation. This is my heave right here. This is, just swing for the fences right here. That's where I am. This is my Hail Mary, so to speak, in football terms. If we can walk away from this and say that Deebo had a really, really good game, then that means that the rest of the 49ers offense had a good game. I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel, offensive player of the game. Final stats, I'll say 6 receptions out of 9 targets, 138 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Damn. Okay. Matt?
Listen, I think it's the 4th game of the season for Christian McCaffrey. So I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey. I think he has 200 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns. I think this is where he gets back on track. It's like the whole, hey, this is his build up. I think this is where we see him unleashed.
This is tough for me.
And Kittle might be back too while you're thinking about it.
He is going to be back.
That's a tough thing. Yeah.
He said he's playing.
He already said he was playing.
I want to pick George Kittle simply because of that. And if Tucker Kraft, I think is his boy, tight end I'm going to go George Kittle. I'm going to say 6 receptions, 142 yards, and 2 touchdowns. George Kittle, baby. I think he's going to have a big game back. He saw the offense struggle without him. He's back. He's here to save Brock. It was between Kittle, Pearsall, and Jennings. I'll go Kittle. All right. Final score predictions. Mike, I'm tossing it back to you.
My birthday.
We're not going to do defense.
Oh, my bad. Defense.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Defensive player of the game. I'll go first here since I'm already on the big screen. I am going to go with. You know what? I'm going to go with someone who I think is a weakness on the defense. I'm going to go with New Jersey's own Jair Brown. I have not been happy with the safety play that I've seen. Those last 2 or 3 drives from the Seattle Seahawks, every time I saw a safety on the screen, I was pissed off. They were over pursuing. They were out of place. I think that they really learned from that. I'm going to go with Jair Brown. I'm going to go with 1 PBU. I'm going to go with only 2 tackles, but he will not be a liability, and he'll play the deep part of the field good and won't give up any big plays in this game. I'm going to go with Jair Brown.
Okay. By the way, before Matt goes, somebody asked how the weather is. It's going to be 44 and wet.
Oh, I heard no rain today. Now they're saying rain is back in the forecast? Because I heard rain leading up to it, and then today I heard, oh, never mind.
No, you're right. Cloudy. It's just
cloudy, 45 degrees.
Today
snow
is wet.
And rain Monday. Today is wet.
All right, Matt. Defensive player of the game.
I'm going to go with the returning Charvarius Ward. I think that he's going to play inspired. Obviously family tragedy, and I believe in people's ability to, rise to the occasion to overcome difficult times. And I'm not saying that that's going to make everything all right, but it's something that I really root for him to do, just because I think that, what a terrible loss. And I just want something good to happen for him, even if it is just something as trivial as a football game.
Can I change my mind? I want to go with Mooney Ward also. All jokes aside, we've heard in every single sports, basketball, baseball, like guys have the game of their lives after a tragic loss.
Yeah.
I really
example Brett Favre having that amazing game against the Raiders when his dad died.
Marquise Goodwin's
longest touchdown of his career, 80 yards, right? Like right after they lost the shot. I want to change it to Mooney Ward also. Whatever stat line Matt says, I want to change it to Mooney.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a pick 6.
I'm going to go with Fred Warner. All respect to Mooney, but his guy, Dre Greenlaw, just had sorry. Just had the last time they played the Packers, Greenlaw had 2 picks, including 1 game-sealing interception, where I think he's still running around somewhere in the Bay Area. I don't even think he's down yet. So Fred Warner's going to step up for his boy, Dre Greenlaw, in his absence, and I think he gets a pick, and he's going to try damn hard to take that to the house in Dre Greenlaw's honor, because Greenlaw tried hard as hell in that playoff game, man. He was running for about 10 minutes straight before he went down. Even though the 49ers had the game won, he just needed to go down. Fred Warner, 12 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. All right, final score. Mike, you're up.
All right.
I must have missed what was so funny.
No, because Zach said, fuck all that mushy sentimental shit, man. I'm going with Fred Warner.
Okay.
I'll respect
I got you. I'll do respect.
He got right back to the facts. Fuck all that mushy shit. I love it. All right. Final score. I'm going to go 24-26 Packers. I think the Packers are 23 points. The Niners drive down the field with 3 touchdowns. They get a field goal, but there's a little bit too much time left, and they allow the Packers to march down the field and kick a field goal at the end. 26-24 Packers. Let me rephrase what I'm saying. I have the Niners losing this game. Another close one that we get pissed off at.
Okay, Matt. Oh wait, no, is that me? Am I up?
No,
you're up.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 27-17 Packers. To me, like, I'm talking about a lot about what could fix the 49ers, but I have no faith that it's going to be fixed in 1 week. And I I don't think this is a year for the 49ers. I think that this is a reload year. This is a year where you take a lot of hard lessons, you make a lot of changes, and then you try to come back for 2025 and make another run on the last year of Brock Purdy's rookie contract. Yeah, I think that this next stretch is really tough for them. I don't think that they're going to win a game until the December 8th game against Chicago. I know I'm kind of spoiling Buffalo, but I don't think any of us are going to pick the 49ers against the Bills in Buffalo. So I have a hard time picking the 49ers in Green Bay when they haven't shown that they can beat a really good team. I don't see who they've beaten on the schedule that was actually a really good team. So until they do, I can't pick them. And maybe there's a little bit of hope for a little bit of that, reverse jinx going on.
That's my hope here. I got the Packers until the 49ers show me otherwise. This is like all the makings for like a 18-17 game. And it's probably going to be like 17-10. 49ers have the ball. Our Packers have the ball. And then they probably score a touchdown and get 2-point conversion with a walk-off win, knowing LaFleur trying to one-up Kyle that he hasn't really been able to do aside from one regular season game, which was, I think, was like the home opener in like 22 or something like that when Jimmy Garoppolo was still the quarterback. Trey Lance had a touchdown that game, by the way. But maybe I'll reverse jinx them. I'm hoping that's the case. But until the 49ers prove otherwise, they're a crappy team right now, and they should be treated as such. So I think they cover, if that makes you feel better, because they're favored by 1.5 or 2, depending on what books you're in. But I got 18-17 Packers, unfortunately. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's show, guys. I got to go have some dinner. Mike, thanks for staying up late with us. We appreciate it. Matt, appreciate you making the time as well. Now you got the baby. Mike, folks already know, but please let them know where to find you, especially on game day. Let them know.
Yeah, please, guys. This Saturday is my birthday, so we will be having a special party for me on Sunday when we take on these Packers. I will have a Packer fan in-house, so I'm going to need you faithful to come and rally with me right here, patreon.com/NB9ERS. You guys have to be on the $5 tier or higher. Please, please, please come party with your boy. All right? Let's turn up because I already got us losing. You guys heard the prediction, but the more faithful, the better I will feel. So please, please come and show up. Nothing but Niners on Patreon. Patreon.com/NB9ERS. And make sure you guys are following my people here. You see it right down there underneath Matt's name. Boom, boom, boom. 49ers Hive. Follow these guys if you guys are watching on the Nothing But Niners YouTube page. 49ers Hive on YouTube.
Appreciate it, Mike. Go subscribe. Patreon.com/NB9ERS. Matt, without further ado, take us home.
Yeah, there's something to this week where the pressure of a Super Bowl is off. So I think I'm going to be able to compartmentalize and enjoy a little bit more, even if it doesn't go the 49ers way. I think we're all kind of at the same spot. It's going to be a rough couple of weeks for the team, but we'll see if they can pull it out. This is what tough teams are made of, and it's going to inform us for the rest of the year, going forward. So for Zach, for Mike, for myself, thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. It was a tough conversation that needed to be had. But I'm glad that we had it. So thank you as always for joining us. We love having you here. And until next time, go Niners.